Okay, shh. Continuing where we left off, there's a din Shulchan Aruch like this. If you ask a Rav a question, you ask a Shaila, and the Rav said to you, no good. You're not allowed to ask a second Rav. In other words, you can't go Rav shopping. You don't like what this Rav told you, you go to another Rav. The only way, I know it works, but it's not. Now, the only way it works is if you tell the second Rav that you go to, I want you to know, I asked somebody else the question, they told me no, and then they'll ask you the question, then you can decide what you want to do. But just to go Rav shopping, ask this Rav, you don't like what he said, go to the next one, that you're not allowed to do.
Why by first telling them?
Well, you just ask on WhatsApp.
Huh?
You just ask on WhatsApp and you get a lot of Ravs.
A lot of Googles. What's better if you tell them?
No, what's the reason why if you tell the second Rav that you already asked another Rav, then it becomes like...
Because then you're just not going Rav shopping. You're telling the Rav, this guy said no, okay? And I want to hear what you say. So the Rav, knowing who the Rav was and what the Rav said, so then we'll be able to judge if that Rav knew what he was talking about or not knew what he was talking about. Huh?
You have to name the other Rav.
You have to tell him that you asked the first person, yeah.
You have to name who was the Rav.
Well, you can tell the Rav, I asked somebody and he said no, the Rav obviously going to ask you who was it. Because he wants...
Could you ask ChatGPT? They have inputs from all different sources. They're still working to perfect it.
What, AI?
They are, yeah. There was a paper circulating a few weeks ago at all the shows where someone wrote on the front page.
By the way, they are telling you that for the exact halacha you have to go to a Rav.
In the near future, when they perfect it, it will probably be better to ask ChatGPT to be in charge.
Just for the record, in Lakewood, the Rabbonim over there in the Rosh Hashanah signed the AI is forbidden. Other places they wrote AI is forbidden. Mamish, they asked it. To use. Because it could bring you to kfira, it could bring you to... I'm just telling you what they did.
We use it by definition.
Anyway, that's the bottom line halacha, okay? You have the same thing in many places. It happens pretty often, by the way. In fact, somebody called me today with something. I told him that what happened was the opposite. He said, I know that you say you can't do it because of whatever reasons, but I really need to be able to do this. I was doing a wedding for somebody. And he knows that I say you can't do the wedding because that's what the previous Rebbe told my father. So, but I said, you know what? Ask a different Chabad Rav if he lets you, he says. So, because I always ask you, I said, okay, I'm telling you, you can go ask a different Rav. That you could also do. But if a Rav says no, then you have to ask a different Rav and mention who the Rav was and tell him, and then he could decide if it's allowed or not. That happens, it happens to me a lot of times. People tell they ask a different Rav, so it depends what the story is.
Did they tell you that they asked someone else?
Yeah.
And they said, this is the person I asked, what do you say? Like, calling you after someone else is more mafia?
They definitely don't call me after somebody else is more lenient.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They're not expecting to pull up for you,
You'd be surprised. Okay. Next. Anyway, the next thing in the Shulchan Aruch is what's called Stam Yenam and the Kosher and the Kelim from Stam Yenam. And to give an introduction to this, there's a concept called Yayin Nesach. Yayin Nesach means wine that was poured for idol worshipping. Yayin Nesach that was poured for idol worshipping is forbidden, obviously, to drink. It's forbidden in pleasure. It's mamash avodah zarah. Chachamim came around and they said something called Stam Yenam. Stam Yenam means not that it was poured for idol worshipping, but wine that a non-Jew touched. Wine that a non-Jew touched, if it's an open, unsealed bottle, then you're not allowed to, rabbinically it's forbidden to drink. According to many opinions, it's also forbidden by Hanoah. This is mashma from the Alter Rebbe. Other opinions say you could have Hanoah from it, whatever, the whole discussion on halacha. But Stam Yeinam Nachamim said like this: we don't want assimilation between Jews and non-Jews. So therefore, we know Gadol Legim Shim Kareves. The Gemara says drinking together wine, brings people closer together. So therefore, the Chacham said any wine that a non-Jew touched is forbidden to drink. If he didn't touch it, he just saw it, he looked at it, al pidin, you're allowed to drink it. Now let me make one thing clear. If a bottle is sealed, okay, like you go to the kosher markets, right, or to Ralph's, whatever, you buy a kosher bottle of wine or grape juice, and it's closed, and it has a seal around it. Or it has a cork, and then the seal on top of the cork. So that's called a double covering. If it's double sealed, then a guy could touch it, it's no problem whatsoever. If once the bottle is opened, if it's not mavushal, if it's not cooked, then the din is, if a guy touches it, you're not allowed to drink it. According to many opinions, many times it's forbidden to benefit from also.
Even in front of you?
What?
Even if he takes the bottle in front of you to serve?
Right.
Even if
Now if the wine is what's called mavushal, it's cooked, so then the Chachamim did not make the decree of a guy touching wine. Why not? Because according to halacha, yayin mavushal is not a very prominent wine. Everybody knows the good wines are not cooked. Cooking takes away the status of the greatness of the wine. So therefore the Chacham said, if a guy touches cooked wine, it's not forbidden. Therefore, by the way, anytime you go to a banquet, they have the waiters pouring wine or champagne or whatever it is, it's always yayin mavushal. It's always cooked wine, so then it's no issue if the guy touches it or not. But you have to be careful, because sometimes you can have an open bottle in your house of non-mavushal wine, and it's in the fridge, let's say, or on the bar, and your housekeeper comes and cleans up, takes out everything from the fridge, and then cleans it. And so if it's in a bag, it's another issue. But if it's not in a bag and they see it's wine and they touch the wine, you're not allowed to drink the wine if it's not mavushal. You can have a very expensive bottle of wine, a $300, $400 bottle of wine. If it's not mavushal, which it probably isn't if it's that expensive, and the non-Jew touches it, you have to spill it out.
What if they see it?
Okay, so 1 second. So al pidin, if a guy sees an open, again, we're talking about non-mavushal, because mavushal they can even touch it. If a non-Jew sees an open bottle of non-mavushal wine, halachically you're allowed to drink it. No problem at all. According to Kabbalah, it says in Kabbalah, you don't make kiddush or havdalah over it. You're allowed to drink it at the meal, but because a guy saw it, you don't make kiddush or havdalah over that particular wine that's not mavushal that the guy saw, even though they didn't even touch it. So he touched it, it wouldn't be allowed. Now, what?
when you put it in a basket,
What?
Twist off cap,
That's one seal.
it's one seal.
Why do you have two? It's one seal.
I'm saying it's not, even if it's not,
Huh?
if it's not mavushal, it's a problem.
The wines?
It has to be double sealed, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not mavushal, twist off cap wines.
nobody makes non-mavushal wine with a twisted cup.
There's tons of it. There's tons.
Of what? Wines?
Twist off cap wines.
That's not
I
mavushal?
don't know.
No, look at them, they're all mavushal.
Yeah.
The non-mavushal wine is sealed properly.
The same din applies to grape juice, yeah?
Same thing applies to grape juice. Now, the only thing is with grape juice is like this. What is considered mavushal? Now, normally mavushal means it becomes cooked. Grape juice is pasteurized. It says on the bottle, pasteurized. So, pasteurized gets up to 180 degrees, approximately. So now there's a machlekes, if 180 degrees cooked is called cooking or not. For wine and grapes, same thing. So the Meisha holds it is mavoshel. The Salem Rav held it's not mavoshel. There's a big machlekes if pasteurized wines, because it only gets up to 180 degrees. Now alcohol, not grape juice. If it's alcohol, normally cooking at sea level is 212. But alcohol cooks earlier, less degrees. So alcohol cooks at sea level at approximately 200, I think it is. Approximately, you don't need 212, 200 is enough. But just pasteurized, where it gets up to 180, or 180, whatever, but under 200. So there's a machlekes in poskim, contemporary poskim, if it's considered mavoshel or not. There are a bunch of Israeli wines. So a lot of times on grape juice, it will say mavoshel, but it's not mavoshel necessarily according to all opinions. Some grape juices are mavoshel according to all opinions. They make sure that it's, even the grape juice is cooked more than just pasteurized. Or they make the pasteurizer go up to a hotter degree.
Why are they cooking the wine?
That then Goyim can touch it.
That's the only reason.
Why else? Why should from companies cook wine? You have dinner, you go to a wedding. There's bottles of wine on the table, opened. Who opened them? The non-Jews opened them. But I'll tell you, we have a very big problem caterers run into, and mashgichim go crazy from it. Sometimes you have a family that's not religious, and they're very wealthy, and they're a kosher meal, but they want non-mavushal wine. They want a very expensive wine. So now, if the non-Jew waiters are going to pour the wine's treif. So officially, the policies of all kashrus organizations and all hashkachas is they don't allow non-mavushal wine if there's non-Jewish waiters. So what happens? A guy wants and this and that. He's very wealthy and he wants. So the only way they could do it, and mashgichim go crazy from it. The only way they can do it is they get kosher Jewish waiters. They get Jewish waiters. That's the condition. That's not, you can't do
like
that.
somebody on the wine, Jewish people that run only serving the wine. Jewish.
Yeah, let's say if you have a bar only, but they usually put one on the table also.
If it's double sealed, and the going waiter cannot bring it to the table.
They could, but once they open it,
No, but you have to open it and serve yourself.
yeah. But,
You cannot serve it when it's done.
but,
So then if you mix like a wine, mavushal, non-mavushal, what's the status of that?
no, it's not. Maybe bottle berov, but
You reseal it?
you could reseal it, by the way. Let's say you have a bottle of wine. Let's say it has a cork, okay? So you put the cork in, and then you take tape and tape it around the seal. That's a double seal. If you seal with tape around the cork, so then it's a double seal. What?
What's if somebody is not Shemesh Shabbat?
So now you're going to the question if somebody's not Shemesh Shabbos. How far does it go? So if you go with the concept of Tinik Shenishba, then he's not the Mechal Shabbos. Right? And again, it's like a catch-22 situation. If you say it's like a kid that was raised among his goyim, he doesn't know, so therefore he's not a real Mechal Shabbos. So if you want to be machmir with that, then you can't count it for a minion.
What? No.
If you're going without the het of Tinik Shenishba, then you can't. So it's like Koreach Mikan, Koreach Mikan. If you're counting him, that you're no, but most guys are maker when it comes to counting them for a minion. By wine, most places have dafka mavoshel wine because of non-Shemesh Shabbos people at the table. The problem is, many times you have in campuses, you have people coming to your house, they may not even be Jewish. What happens if you have an intermarried couple, Jew and non-Jew, and they come to your house for Shabbos? Now Shabbos you're allowed to invite a guy to the table. Yom Tov if you can't, Shabbos you could. So what happens, you're trying to be mekad of a couple, one of them is Jewish and one of them is not. And you're going to serve non-mavushal wine at the table, the guys might touch it. They might. It's very possible. They're going
So
to.
if you got the bottle yourself, can you put to the non-Jew wine?
So what some people do is when they have some people at the table, they control the wine. They only They're the only ones that pour the wine.
Serve to the goat.
Huh?
You're allowed to serve the wine to the goat.
Yeah, at your table it's fine.